Hello, everyone. How are you? It is so great to be here today. Today, this is the session, The Key is Under the Mat. And I am Brenda Stroth. I'll be sharing with you today. It's so nice to meet you. I have, um, I'm just so excited to have everyone in here. It's a great session. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my story. I'm going to give you a little bit of background, and then we're going to go right into our teaching on the key is under the mat. As I said, my name is Brenda Stroth. I am a mother, a grandmother. I've been a wife for 37 years. We are going to celebrate our 38th wedding anniversary soon. And I'm married to a wonderful man, Jeff Stroth, and he's my macho man. And it's been we've had a really good marriage for 38 years, going on 38 years. So my backstory is this. My husband and I had plans and adventures, and we had planned ahead in our lives of how we were going to live our retirement years. And we planned all of that, got it all going, and then there was a wrench thrown into it. And so something that happened, my husband got very ill. He'd been ill for about 10 years, but we didn't know what it was, and we'd gone to a lot of doctors and spent a lot of time trying to figure all of that out. And he finally in 2012 was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and then in 2014, early 2014, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's also, and he had white matter disease, had a few strokes. So we had a lot of things that were going on all at the same time. And in the midst of our planning our life and living our life, we have 4 children, and in the midst of all of that, everything was changed. Everything that we'd been doing was completely changed. Now, we had been going through some pretty severe changes in the 10, 15 years prior to that. We didn't realize that he had had this illness for quite some time, and it was just progressing. We didn't know that. When we went to the doctors, nobody ever found anything that was going on with him. So anyway, um, and I know that this is a story that many of you have, and how this is leading up to the waiting is that our hopes and dreams, our expectations were pretty dashed when we realized the severity of what he was physically going through. And since that time, it's been almost 9 years now. Since that time, he was not able to go back to work. So of course, our lifestyle changed, and we had a dramatic 75% cut in our salary, in how we lived our life. Dramatic. And there were just things that were happening, not only just financially, of course, but emotionally, physically, all of it. Changes were happening. Our dreams and hopes and goals that we had for our life and how we were going to continue our life for our golden years, uh, all of that changed. And I know that that happens a lot with people, and we were right in the middle of it. So there was a lot of waiting that was going on during this time frame. A lot of waiting for the doctors, waiting for prognoses, waiting for medications, waiting for God to heal him, waiting for a miracle to happen, waiting for all of these things, and in the midst of that, living life. And the story of the key under the mat is a story that takes all of that into consideration. So for the past 9 years, I've been full-time caring for my husband, who's, disabled now, and his diseases have progressed. And so now he has an electric wheelchair, and has a lot of the issues that go along with the types of things that he's dealing with in his body, and we are constantly making adjustments, constantly making changes in our perception of how we look at things, and where do we find the joy, and how do we maintain um, having a wonderful, fulfilling life when everything around you just seems to be crashing and burning. So we've been dealing with this. Me personally, of course, my husband's dealing with this, and he asked me to give his testimony today. So, in the midst of all of this hardship, in the midst of all of the things that were taken away from him, in the midst of not being able to work any longer, not being able to drive any longer, not being able to cut meat some days, and not be able to, you know, do the simplest of things. All in the midst of all of that, losing his independence, losing his cognitive abilities, losing his ability to sequence, all of these things that are happening to him. In the midst of all of it, he said to me, "Tell the ladies that in the midst of all the hardship, and in the midst of all the pain, in all the midst of the physical pain and the physical trauma of it all, in the midst of all of that, I want you to tell the ladies that there's joy, that God fills that hole up with joy." And he has a relationship now with the Holy One that he cannot even imagine ever having if he was operating on full board like he was before. Pedal to the metal, A-type personality, go, 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 go. He was an athlete in college. He's been an athlete since he was 15 years old. He's been, working out, being physically strong, being able to handle all these different types of challenges. And now that's just not the life that we are leading any longer. And he said, "Tell him, Brenda, that the joy of the Lord is my strength." And I said, "I'll tell him. I will tell them for you." And it's very important for me that when I'm speaking, since this is my husband's story, as well as my story, it is my story too, because this is happening to me too. Uh, but in the telling of the story, I want to be very, very careful, and I want to be very, very honoring of my husband. And so there will be a lot of things that I will not share. But I just want to let you know that he is really good with me sharing with you about what's been happening, and so he's a marvelous man, and he gets up in the mornings and he has his coffee, and it's so sweet because every morning he says the same thing to me: "This is the best cup of coffee I've ever had." Wow, how does the coffee get so good? How do you do this? And it's the same coffee he had yesterday, and it's the same coffee he'll have tomorrow. But to him, it's fresh and new every day. And that's what I'm talking about. There is a freshness and a newness and a joy that resides within him. And that is the gift that the Holy One has given to us. In the midst of all of it, my husband, has figured out a way to stay joyful in the midst of all of it, even in the really hard days. And there's been a lot of those really hard days, but he's staying joyful. And I know that my part in that, as is your part in that, because I'm telling my story, but sisters, I'm embracing you all right now because you all have stories. You're all me, just with the different circumstances, right? So this is not me saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm special." No, this is me saying, I'm telling my story right now to inspire you and to encourage you to stir your flame, to fan your flame, sisters. I want you to arise in the midst of this waiting, in the midst of this hard stuff. I want you to arise and be the woman of God that you've been called to be. I want you to know that you know that you know that He is able and willing to give you every single thing that you have need of, and not just give you every single thing that you have need of, but to give you over and abundantly. And I put a lot of I put a lot of scriptures in the notes. When you print out your book, or if you get your book, there's going to be a lot of notes in there. I put a lot of scriptures in here. I'm not going to go through those today. I want you to have those. I want you to read those scriptures, and for you to know that He is your strength in the midst of this all, and that this is our time to shine. There is something happening in the world right now, in the earth. The Spirit of God is blowing his breath and he's drawing people in from the north, the south, the east, and the west. And in the midst of all of these hard things, in the midst of the disappointments, in the midst of the heartaches, in the midst of the broken dreams, in the midst of all of that, he's saying, the joy that I have for you is greater than any joy you could have experienced if I would have allowed you to continue on the path you were on. It's not that it was a bad path, it's that he has something better for you. And in this waiting, that's where you're going to get it. In this waiting, that's where you're going to be prepared. In this waiting, that's where you're going to be equipped. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the rest of my story is that it was funny. I just jumped over to Simi's talk, to the end of her talk when I finished my first session, and I was listening to her, and she actually worked with me and helped me through this because prolonged trauma, stress, and living a life of 9 years of prolonged stress, it really wears on a body. And that is where I got my message from. The key is under the mat. And that's what I wanted to tell you about. So all of these things happening with my husband. And this has been a year that has the hardship of the reality of what we're dealing with physically with him has been really crashing in around us. And so we've been dealing with a lot of those circumstances that make life a little bit more difficult. And in the midst of that, my mom came and visited, and she ended up staying here, which was a blessing. She moved in with my sister who lives in the same town as I do, and we divided up her care. She had Alzheimer's, and we didn't know that, but she came to visit, and we discovered it when she got here. She had been involved in a marriage for 55 years, and it was not a healthy relationship, a lot of trauma. Let me just put it that way, a lot of trauma for her and for us. And uh, she decided that at this stage of her life, she needed a change, and she was willing to do what it took to make that change. And the change was that she wanted to be around her family, and she had not been allowed to be around her family for a lot of years. And so we got her 85, 80, 80, 86 years old, my mom. And she flew out here, and we got her, and we had her for 3 months. And then she had a fall, and she ended up declining very, very quickly, and we had to put her into hospice. We decided to do hospice here at my sister's house. And my brother flew in from Berlin, Germany. And so my sister, my brother, and I took care of my mom. Meanwhile, I'm still taking care of my husband, right? And I'm doing it all alone. So my best friend stepped in and said, "You're not doing this alone anymore." And she contacted one of my sons, and she explained to him what was going on. And she said, "Your mom's trying to be a superwoman, and she can't be anymore. And you need to come in here and see what's really happening, because just a quick little short little visit here, or a short little phone call here, or a Zoom call here, that's not telling you the whole story of what's going on." And so he did. And my youngest son, my best friend, you all know who she is, Charlie. She had me call my youngest son, and I called him and I asked him if he could come and help us for a couple of weeks. And he was here within 72 hours, and he swooped in and he took care of everything. And he took care of his dad. And he said, "Mom, you need to be with your mom right now. You need to go be with your mom the full time," because I had my husband with me with my mom. So dealing with my mom in the hospice situation, and then also trying to make sure that my husband was cared for properly with the medications throughout the day and all the things that go along with his condition. And it was very difficult for him to be outside of his norm. And so my son came and took care of all of that for me. And it was It was amazing. I took a deep breath and I knew a friend of mine, Linda, she said to me, Brenda, you're doing kingdom work right now. And I'm thinking, kingdom work? I'm taking care of my husband and I'm taking care of my mom. How's that kingdom work? You know, I had to stop doing everything else. You guys didn't see me on my Bible studies. I was gone. And she said, you're doing kingdom work. And I realized it struck me in my spirit that that is exactly what was happening. And my children came in and became that support system for me. Now, you got to understand, not only am I a perfectionist, I'm also a control freak. And I really need to be in one of those 12-step programs because this is tough. It's tough trying to be in control of everything when you're in reality, there's no such thing as being in control, right? But I'm trying to take care of everything and be a superwoman. You know, I'm being an advocate here, I'm being an advocate there, I'm running around getting all these things taken care of. And not that that's bad in any way. And I know that a lot of you are doing that. And I bless you. I bless you and I encourage you in all of those things. And I pray that the Lord will be your strength in all of those things. But what was happening to me was that my physical body was falling apart. And so I was getting to a point where I couldn't think clearly, where I couldn't, when I turned on my computer, I couldn't even find how to open my programs or even get connected to the internet. I was having difficulty getting on a Zoom meeting. I was having difficulty remembering to pay my bills. Everything was just physically, I was shutting down, but I had a job to do and there was no option. So my son coming in and taking care of my husband gave me that breath of fresh air, that extra support. And my other sons helped tremendously, and my daughter helped tremendously. And so they, you know, it's great having a big family, right? And so they all helped. And then I was able to be with my mom. So being with my mom, I'll just fast forward to the part where she was on hospice. We got her a hospital bed and she wanted me to sleep with her because she didn't like being alone, and it made her, she was very anxious at night and fearful being by herself. And so I had the blessing and the privilege of being able to climb up in that bed with my mom and wrap my arms around her at night and hold her while she slept. And when she woke up, I would say, it's okay, mom, everything's fine. And we would take care of what needed to be taken care of. And then she'd go right back to sleep. Now, you have to understand that my mom, being married 55 years to somebody who really was not interested in a family, all of us kids left home very, very early. Very early. I stayed the longest. And I left home at 17, and I stayed the longest. But we didn't have that opportunity of having those type of intimate moments as adults with my mom ever. And so my sister and I got her an iPhone, and so we FaceTimed her every night. And that was how we communicated with her. She lived in Washington and we live in Texas. But we did have that strong bond, that strong relationship that in the waiting of being able to see her, we did have. So when she got here, it was just, we just picked up right where we were and it was beautiful. But the physical part of it was amazing, to physically be able to hold my mom, to physically be able to have her touch me, touch my sister, touch my brother. So the last 3 weeks of her life in the hospice, well, the last 2 weeks really, in the hospice, she was able to begin releasing things. And I saw it as a vision. I saw the alabaster box being broken open and the oil pouring out upon my mom and her pouring it out upon us, upon her children. And I saw that in the spirit. I saw that, and I knew that there was healing that was going on for the generations. There was healing going on for the generations. Now, remember, my story is my story, but you have your story too. And I believe that this is not just a one-time thing that just happened for my mom. I believe what's happening for you is that he is pouring that oil over you, over us, all over all of us. Because as Ishas, we rise up and we have a sphere of influence in our homes, with our families, if we have children, with our children, if we're married, with our spouse, if we're not married, with the people that He has brought into our lives, our work, our friends, our neighbors, the people in our congregations, where we are, we have a sphere of influence. This is what He's talking about, breaking that oil, the anointing oil over us, so that when we walk, they're smelling the fragrance of Messiah. They're smelling the fragrance of His death, burial, and resurrection. That's what He wants to pour out upon us, ladies. And it's in the weight that that happens. So that's where we're going with this. So, Mom, in her weight, in these last 2 weeks that we had this beautiful woman, this beautiful, beautiful life that she had, the healing that took place in my family, the healing of all the years of separation, the healing of all the years of not having a relationship, it was all healed so quickly and so beautifully and so wonderfully. And with all of her grandchildren healing with everything, it was the most amazing thing. It was sister, it was kingdom work. That's what was happening. And in the last few moments of my mom's life, her words, in the last few moments that my mom was able to speak, her words were always about Jesus. She woke up after visiting the garden. She was telling us that she was in the garden, and she woke up and she said, Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior of all, and there's no one like Him, and there will never be anyone like Him. He is the only one. This is my mother confessing this with her mouth. As children, did we need to hear that? You bet we did. And when she said those words, it was breaking bondages for generations and generations. And we knew that God had restored, and that this was the matriarch arising, even if it was in her last days and her last moments. This matriarch was arising, and she was pouring out blessing upon her children and upon the generations. That's what was happening. So it was a lot more, pardon me, it was a lot more than just making her comfortable. It was an opportunity for us to participate in the restoration of a mighty woman of God who had not been able to take the opportunity to walk it out in her lifetime. But she did in her last few weeks. When it came time for her to go and be with Jesus, my brother and sister and I were with her, and we were holding her, we were loving her, we were telling her how proud we were of her. We were allowing her to know true love and joy. And one of the things that she had been saying to us this whole 3 months that she was with us, she had kept saying over and over and over and over again every day, multiple times, I never knew there could be joy like this. I never knew that this is what happiness really felt like. I never knew that this is what love was like. And that's what she got to experience. Isn't that amazing? And I believe that she was a first fruit. And I want you to take a hold of that. And I want you to hold it tightly, because your loved ones, those that you have been crying out for and been in that waiting process for, I want to tell you right now that He is able, and He is working mightily behind the scenes. We have no idea how much He's doing behind the scenes when it seems that we're all alone, or that He has forgotten us, or that He hasn't heard us, or that our prayers have not been answered. No, He's working mightily. He's moving heaven and earth to accomplish all that He has destined for you and for those in your sphere, for those people that you are pouring your life out into. So I want to give you that encouragement right now. So in the last few moments of Mom's life, I had an image of the race being finished, and
my brother and sister and I were all there, and they have their story. This is my story, but they have their story of what they were saying to Mom and what the Holy One was speaking to them. But I'm just going to tell you mine. And what I said to Mom was, Mom, you are the matriarch of this family. You have raised 3 amazing, world-changing adults. It is time for you to pass the baton now. And it is time for us to pick up that baton and to go forward and to change the world. That's what you have done for us. You have brought this to us, and now it's our turn to take the baton. So, Mom, you go ahead and go. And your path is complete now. You get to go and you get to be with the rest of the family, and you get to go and be in glory, and you get to celebrate your victory. And now pass the baton on to us. You have raised us well. You have poured out your life to us, and now it's our turn. And with those words, those aren't the exact words, but it was something similar to that. She took the most beautiful breath, and she was gone. My mother was the matriarch of our family, and she didn't know it until the last few days of her life. But God knew it, and He released healing and restoration and revitalization into my family, into the generations that we still have not even begun to see the effects of. That is the economy of our God. That is the power and the might of our Holy One. He is all about restoration. So Mom passed, and I came home and was taking care of my husband, and my son said, Mom, you need to go. You need to go take some time for yourself. And all my kids got together and they decided that they were going to send me on a vacation. So I took 2 weeks and I booked a flight. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. I actually pushed that little buy button. I had my finger hovering over it for days, and I was afraid to push that little buy button because it's just so much, to think about leaving and having somebody else care for your husband, and not that my son's not capable, but just, I'd never done that before, and I'm a control freak. So I was, like, nobody could do it like me, but really, yeah, they can, and better. So what happened was, I went ahead and I contacted a woman that I've met through our community, Darlene. She comes to our Friday Bible study. She lives in California. I contacted her and she said, "Come on out. I'm going to be gone. You can stay at my house." She lives on the beach. She lives in walking distance to the beach, and so I decided to do that. Well, we made all the arrangements, and she sent me her address, and we did all of that. But I didn't find out how I was going to get into her home because she was going to be out of town. She flew out and was out of state. So the morning that I was leaving, I still had not heard from her, and it was 3 in the morning, so I couldn't call her. But I flew out and I had my first layover and contacted her and texted her, and no words. So I'm going to California, but I don't have any way of getting into her house. That was just one of the details that I didn't get taken care of before I left. And so then arrived in California, still no word. It'd been hours now, about 5 hours or so since I'd been trying to get a hold of her to find out, and she was still in her flight. So there's no telling when she would, be able to answer me. And that part of me, the traumatized part of me, the tired part of me that wasn't dealing well with things, was trying to rise up and say, this was a stupid idea. Here you are in California. You just landed. You have no way of getting into the house. You don't even know. I mean, you've never met this woman before. You don't even know if she's really what she says she is. I mean, it could be scary. You're 2,000 miles away from home. You have no one to protect you. All of these things are going through my mind. And the only thing that I can tell you is that something else was going through my mind too, that the Holy One had arranged this for me, and that I was going to trust him no matter what. If it meant that I got a hotel room and then found somebody else to stay with, whatever. If I had to turn my ticket in and fly back, it didn't matter.
It was going to be okay. I was done with living in fear. I was done and I was exhausted. So I had a friend that I knew that lived there. She picked me up at the airport, took me to lunch because we couldn't go to the house because we didn't know how to get in. So she took me to lunch and we sat there and ate and we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden I get a text. It's been 6 hours that I've been waiting, not knowing how to get into this house. And I get a text, Brenda, the key is under the mat. So during this entire time of me stressing and all this anxiety and worry coming up in me and all of these thoughts coming into my head, bombarding me with how bad I am of a wife and how bad I am of a mother and how bad, all these things and how selfish I am for leaving. And the Holy One had already taken care of all of it, because you know what? The key was already under the mat before I left. It was already there. Are you hearing me? The provision has already been given. The key is under your mat. It's already done. You don't need to be panicked about what is going to be happening. You are the child of the Almighty, and it is His responsibility to care for you and to provide for you. It's not yours or your husband's, it is His. And so when we move into that type of provision, the sky's the limit, right? And so I had 2 weeks at the beach. I mean, yeah, crazy, right? So so, I got there, and for the first week, I did nothing but sleep. Um, Caught up on 9 years of not sleeping. 9 years plus 3 months and 3 weeks. So there was a lot of that was going on, and my body was pretty traumatized. A lot of things were happening in my body, shutting down. I told you I wasn't able to get on the internet. My phone wasn't working, and nothing was working. Everything was just, I was just having a hard time coping with the simplest of things. And I knew that it was my body's signal saying, you need a timeout. Now, those of you who are walking through the Torah portions with us, you know that sometimes you got to just get out of the camp. It doesn't mean you're sinning. It it doesn't mean you're sinning. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're evil. You know what it means? It means that you need a time away from regular responsibilities, and you need a time to be away so that you can focus and concentrate, so that the Holy One Himself can come and be with you and minister to you. And that's what was happening. And I had never allowed myself to do that. And you know what? That's not a good thing. I thought it was being unselfish. It wasn't. It was actually being very selfish. It was me saying that I'm the only one that can do the things that I do. It was me not allowing my children to understand the depth of the difficulty that my husband is going through. I poo-pooed it. I just, oh, it's fine. We're doing fine. We're adjusting. They didn't know how difficult it was. They didn't know what he was going through. They didn't know the severity of all of it, because a little quick visit's not, that doesn't show you what's really happening behind the scenes. And it was selfish of me, and I robbed them of the ability to interact in his life in new ways that they needed to, because he's their dad. And so me being taken out of the camp, and put outside the camp, was a good experience for everybody. So will you please take that to heart, that sometimes you might feel that it's because you failed, that you are outside the camp, that you are, being isolated, or you've been put, you're not being able to be in the community, that doing the things that you want to do. Or no, listen to me. God is sovereign. And in the midst of it all, He is working behind the scenes, because the key is already under the mat. Those things that you have dreams and hopes for, those things that He has put into your life, those things that are burning within you, that there's no way they can happen, He is arranging those things. Those people that you've been praying for, yearning for, calling for, they're coming in from the north and the south and the east and the west. Those children are coming in. Those aunts and uncles are coming in. Those parents are coming in. Those husbands are coming in. Those daughters are coming in. Those sons are coming in. You need to be where you need to be so that you can be prepared for their arrival. Don't rob yourself of the goodness of God by trying to take care of everything yourself. Okay? That's the lesson that I learned. And it was a hard, hard lesson for me. I don't know how to not take care of everything. I've been a caregiver for so long, I don't know how to not be a caregiver. But I've had to let go and trust that even if something's not done the way that I might want it done, the way that it's being done is probably better anyway. Okay? So I want to give you that. That's my gift to you right now. So so anyway, the key is under the mat. All right. Well, now you know that bit of the story. So as we move forward, you can have the chance to, I'm checking our time here. You can have the chance to keep reminding yourself of that. Now, fast forward, I'm going to get into the teaching, but fast forward, I just want to let you know that the Holy One began speaking that to me over and over during my trip. I started having panic attacks in the middle of the night, where I would wake up and my chest I would feel like my heart was pounding and I was going to have a heart attack. And he would speak to me now. Simi Cherepanov, she helped me physically go through some she taught me some techniques to physically go through the release of stress and the relaxing and how to do that. So she helped me, and she is teaching that today. So if you don't have your pass, get your pass or join the Rooted Cafe so that you can have access to that at any time. Joining the Rooted Cafe will do that for you too. So you can get your all access pass or you could join the Rooted Cafe, but you can have her teaching. It's going to be recorded and you'll have it. And that's what she helped me with during my 2 weeks that I was gone. So meanwhile, getting back onto topic here, meanwhile, I was having panic attacks and things were happening like that. I had to learn how to let go in the midst of all of it. I had to learn to let go. And I had to learn to trust his sovereignty. And that was his huge message. So I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. And hopefully I'm not really great at this, but please, just please forgive me for my clumsiness in doing PowerPoint. I really don't know how to do it very well, but I'll do my best. Okay, so the key was under the mat. What was the key to me? What was that key? The key was keeping my eyes on Yeshua. The key to the house was under the mat, but the key that unlocked the door for me was keeping my eyes on Yeshua. Now, keeping in Hebrew is shamar, and it means to tend and to care for with love and affection. And in eyes is ayin in Hebrew, and that is your eyes. It is the entrance into your soul. It's what you see with and how you perceive, and of course Yeshua. So Key, key. That was good for me because I need simple things like that to be able to remember things, especially right now. So keeping our eyes on Yeshua, and Minister Juanita, she just blessed me so much because at the end of her message tonight, she said, or this morning, she said, we have to keep our eyes on Yeshua. And that was such a confirmation to me that this is exactly what we need to be doing. Forgetting what is behind, I press on toward the goal for the reward of the upward calling of God in Messiah Yeshua. Pressing on. This woman is an amazing picture. Do you see what she's doing? She's got her hands situated. She has her face situated. She has her eyes set. She is not looking any other way. She is looking straight ahead. She's not looking at what's behind. She's not looking at what's at the sides. She has her eye on the prize and she is ready to go. And her muscles are tensed up and ready to launch. It's like when horses are in a stall, when they're in the starting gate of the racetrack. My mother was a horse trainer and she raised and trained racehorses with her husband, and I would go with them sometimes. And when you watch the starting gate, the power that's in those horses, they're waiting, but they are not just sitting still. They're not binge watching Netflix. They are waiting with anticipation and eye on the prize. They are getting revved up. They are getting prepared to go. They are getting everything ready to launch when it's time. That's what this athlete is doing right here. She is getting ready to launch. Her eyes are on the prize. She's getting ready to hear that starting gun. She's ready to hear the shofar blast so that she knows it's time. That's how we wait. That is the key to waiting. Now, the word wait in Hebrew is kavah, and you will hear this from all of our speakers, I'm pretty sure. If you think about Isaiah 40:31, they that wait upon the Lord, okay? That scripture. H6960 for those of you little geekies like me that like to look it up in the Hebrew lexicon and do all the digging, or your Blue Letter Bible. It means to bind and twist together tightly like in a rope. It is putting together the cords that will bind and tighten and strengthen. And it's a fast binding, it's like, think of the birds fluttering. It's fast. And that is the sign of strength. That's what that is supposed to bring to you, is the strength. So it is binding cords together, unity together, to bring strength. That's what the word wait means. It also means an expectation, an awaiting. Remember that in Hebrew, all the verbs are action verbs. It's action verbs. It is the action of waiting. It is not waiting that you stop, waiting that you quit, waiting that you can be still, but there's still preparation in the stillness. Sometimes being still is the action that you need to take. But there is, in that waiting, there is always going to be an action that you are taking, even if that action is being still and being quiet. So this is the Hebrew word, and it's spelled kof vav hey. Now, what I wanted to just do with you is, this is my little thing that I like to do. Those of you that know me, I love to teach on the Hebrew alphabet. Love it, love it, love it. It's a passion. It's a passion that I have. And so I want to just take you into my world for just a few moments. I'm going to show you the kof. This is the kof right here. This is the kof, and the kof is the back of the head. It's the place of influence. It's where your responsibility and your authority is. It's the kof. So when you see this right here, think of that, and this line right here, it's the back of the head right here. Okay. Also in Hebrew, everything is not just one thing. Everything is multiple things, right? Multiple things. So also in Hebrew, the kof is also a territory, or a portioned off section or territory or place or garden, but it's a sectioned territory that is set apart. Now, the connotation of that is a holiness. And the letter kof is the first letter of kadosh. It's so you understand that's the word for holy. So it has that going for it here, okay? So this set apartness, think about that. What are the holy things? The holy things are things that are set apart. They are not common. So in this kof, we're looking at the back of the head. And in this kof, we have an imagery of territory being separate, territory being brought to a place of portioned off place. Well, as the image bearers of the Holy One, as his representatives here on earth, we are supposed to be reflecting him, right? We are supposed to be sectioned off. We are supposed to be separate. We are supposed to be separated from the common and the norm. We're supposed to be different. Well, here in this letter kof, it's talking about the head. It's talking about your sphere of influence, your authority. And what is that authority doing? So remember, in Hebrew, every letter has a story. Every letter has a story. And every letter that's attached to another letter has an increase of the story. And it goes on. And then every word has a story, and every word that's attached to another word has a story. So here we are in Hebrew. It's just so beautiful. We have our kof, so we understand that it's a separation, separated territory. It's a sphere of influence, a place of influence where you have the ability to influence those around you. And what is this letter? This is the letter Vav. In Hebrew, it's Vav, and it is a nail. It's the nail that it's the nail that went into the hand of Yeshua to attach him to the cross. It is the nail that attaches us to the covenant for all eternity. It is the joining together of things. It is the thing that joins together for structure and for strength and for stability. It's a joining together. So what is being joined together here in this word? The kof is being joined by the vav. It's being joined to what? It's being joined to this hey. This is the letter hey. Now the letter hey is, you can see it right here. See this right here, the little opening? It's a tent flap with an open window. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, if a tent has an open window, then inside that tent, there's a fresh air that can blow in and bring refreshing and renewing into the tent, and the stale air goes out and the fresh air blows in, and then there is a freshness and a newness and a revelation. Okay, so hey is the letter of revelation. It is that place within that is brewing revelation, and that revelation will be released. That revelation, that inspiration, all the freshness will be released out the window. So it will be released right out the window. So sisters, when you are kavah, when you are waiting upon the Lord, this is what's happening to you. Your influence, how you are allowing your set apartness to influence those around you. You're influencing them. At the same time, you're being connected to the revelation of the Holy One, the revelation that He is bringing forth new vision, new hope, new spheres of influence. What is brewing that's fresh and new? This is what He wants us to look at Him and say, Father, what do you have for me that's fresh and new? How are you bringing this into my life? How do I release this in this kof, this back of my head, this place of the sphere of influence that I have? How do we release within the waiting? What do we release within the waiting? Are we releasing life? Are we releasing hope? Are we releasing the fragrance of Messiah? Because we've been separated. We've been called out from the common. And the people that He brings into our life, the circumstances that He brings into our life, the hardships that He brings into our life, these are all the proving ground. These are all of the things that are going to bring about His kingdom. And we get to participate in that. It is our privilege and our joy that we get to participate in that. So how are we waiting? What's being released from our mouth? How are we affecting our sphere of influence? How are we joining those around about us to the revelation of the Holy One in the midst of our wait? How are we speaking to ourselves and inspiring and encouraging ourselves? David did it. He was a great self-talker. Oh, my soul, why are you cast down within me? David got it. He knew it. Sometimes he had to pull himself up by his bootstraps. Sometimes he had to be the only one that was telling himself to get encouraged. He had to remind himself of the goodness of God. He had to remind himself of the holiness and the beauty and the majesty of the Holy One in the midst of all of the hardship, the trials, the suffering, because he had it. And boy, was that guy in a lifestyle of waiting constantly, hiding out in caves, having his son trying to kill him, having the father image of Saul, the man that he adored, his king, having him try to kill him. You know, just the problems that he had with self-control, all of that stuff. He was in a waiting period all the time, constantly, just like us in our lives, how we are going through these things. But how did he separate himself? And from the common? How did he attach himself to the revelation? Kavah, how did he wait upon the Lord? I'm excited to hear some of your stories. I really am. I wanted you to, in that waiting, I wanted you to know that the Lord is sovereign. He is sovereign. What does that mean? It means that he's the one in charge. It is his responsibility to provide you with everything that you have need of. He's the one, not you, not your job, not your spouse, not your parents, not your inheritance, God alone. It is his responsibility to provide for you. You get to partner pardon me, you get to partner with him in that. Of course, we all get to partner with him. Wouldn't it be horrible if all he did was give us everything that we wanted and we were just fat slobs laying around eating bonbons all day? No, we get to be boots on the ground, hands in the soil. We get to be part of that whole building. We get to tend the garden. We get to feed the sheep. We get to do these things. We get to be the influencers. Ishas, arise, stand up. You have the influence of the Holy Spirit within you. You have been given the incredible gift of being an Isha. You are made in the image of Elohim. You have within you the light of Messiah. You have the Torah, the light of the world living within you. How you go about your day is important and valuable. Don't ever think that any decision that you make is inconsequential. Do not ever think that any act of obedience in your life is inconsequential. You realize that you are changing the world every time you walk in obedience, every time you choose the way of the King. Every time you choose to join your hands with someone and bring them into an understanding. How do you do that? It might not be by reading the four spiritual laws and having them kneel at the altar. It might be by bringing them some groceries. It might be by being kind to them at the checkout stand. It might be in putting your cart away at the grocery store. Somebody sees you doing that. That's different. Why are they different? What's about them? There are a lot of ways for us to do this. It doesn't have to be that you have a pulpit. You are valuable and essential to the kingdom right where you are. If you're a mommy and you have 3 kids under the age of 4 right now, you are essential to the kingdom of God. Every day you are an influencer. Every day you are speaking life. Every day you are instilling within the human beings that you've been given charge over. You are instilling life to them every day. Every day you are making a difference. You might have a pulpit. Every day you're making a difference. You might not have a pulpit. Every day you're making a difference. You might be a worker in an office and you feel like you don't have any influence because you're not allowed to talk about the kingdom. Oh, but you can show kindness. Chesed, that's Torah. You can show kindness. You can show pure judgment. You can show not being a judgmental person. You can show that love. You can love one another. In the midst, you're walking out Torah. In the midst of it, you're the Torah that they're reading. In the midst of it, I want to encourage you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not left out. You are not alone. You are exactly where you need to be. And the trials and the temptations and the hardships that are in your life right now are designed specifically to take you to the next level. Let it. Kavah. Join yourself with the revelation of the Holy One. Okay? All right. So 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name, called by the voice of the Holy One, if they're called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. I have a lot more slides, but we are running out of time. And so what I'm going to do is just going to walk you through this kind of, okay? I wanted to tell you a couple of the words in Hebrew just so that you can get a little a little taste of it. The word for humble is kana. The word for humble is kana in Hebrew, and it means to bow down. It means to lower yourself, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. It means to say that you know that you can make mistakes and that even in making mistakes, you're okay. You pick yourself back up, you get back on the path, and you keep going. You do not quit this race because you make mistakes. And I don't care how big your mistakes are. You do not quit because you make mistakes. You are called. You are a called people. So, number one, humble yourself. Know that you're going to make mistakes. Know that there's going to be somebody smarter than you. Always. There's going to be somebody who knows more than you. Always. There's going to be somebody doing it better than you. Always. That's going to happen. You just stand before the Lord and say, use me with who I am and what I have. I will be used by you. I will be set apart. I will be joined to your revelation. I will kavah. Okay? Humble yourselves and pray. The word for pray is palal, and it means, let's see, where do I have it in here? I probably should be wearing glasses since I can't read without them. Palal means to judge or to lay even. Interesting. And that's the word for pray. What it's talking about is us being an intercessor for others and laying out the truth of who God is. We are praying for others. We are laying out before the throne the people that he brings into our life, right? We're laying out their stories. We're laying out what it is that they are bringing up before him. We get to do that. We get to advocate for others. We get to advocate for others to be joined to Yeshua. That's what we get to do. So we will humble ourselves, we will pray, we will seek his face. What does it mean to seek? What does it mean to seek? The word for seek is H1245, Bakesh. It means to choose or to search out. It's an action of searching out. We know that Yeshua said, ask, seek, knock. He told us to do this. This is nothing, what Yeshua was telling us in the New Testament is not something new that he came up with. That's what this is. Seek my face. He wants us to seek his face, and then he wants us to search it out. He wants us to search his ways and know his ways. He wants us to turn from our wicked ways. What does it mean to turn? Shuv in Hebrew. It means to turn, to return, or to turn around. And a lot of people think that it means that you have to change 100%. You have to do a 180. No. It means that you turn. So if you're walking this path, one step off, you took one step. Now you're walking the way that you're supposed to be walking. Now you're walking. It doesn't mean that you have to do a 180. It means that you turn from the direction you're going, and that can just be 1 degree or 2 degrees. You and I both know that if you're a ship in the ocean and you're off course by 2 degrees, not even noticeable, 2 degrees, you will completely miss your mark, right? Well, that's what he's saying. We need to turn away from what? What do we turn away from? Remember in Hebrew, all the words are put together so that we have a story. What are we turning away from? Wicked ways. And wicked in Hebrew is raw, and it means fractured. It means broken. Actually, the literal translation is a loud noise, loud clanging noise. It's distracting, it's destructive, it is shattering, it's fragmenting. Turn away from the things that fragment you and that fragment others. Turn away from those things. It doesn't have to mean this, it can mean this. Putting our eyes back on Yeshua. That is turning away from those wicked ways, raw. Okay? Think of raw, fragmenting. When we're fracturing other people with our words, with our actions, with our attitudes, with our smirks, with our looks, when we're fracturing them, we are being wicked. That is not who we are called to be. We are called to be light bearers, images of him, reflecting him, not reflecting ourselves, reflecting him. We are to be filled with him and reflecting him. So we want to turn from our wicked ways. And then what happens? Then he will hear from heaven. Hashamayim, where the fire and the water meet. Hashamayim. He will hear from heaven. He will hear. That's the word Shema. Minister Juanita talked to us about that today. And she said, Shema is when you obey. It's true. But the Holy One Shema's also. And it means that he is setting his intention and accomplishing the thing that he heard. Shema, you hear with your ears, you walk it out with your life. That's what he's doing. He will Shema from heaven. He will forgive. He will forgive our sin. Our sin is chata, and that is when we make a misstep. He will forgive our missteps. He will heal our land. What influence do you have? Where are your feet to be planted? That's what he's going to heal. So I am running out of time here. It is now 3:01, and I didn't finish up, but all of my notes and my entire PowerPoint will be in your all access pass or in on the Rooted Cafe if you join the Rooted Cafe. So you will be able to see that. But I just want to leave you with this. I want you to trust the sovereignty of God. I want you to trust that in the midst of all of this, the key is already under the mat. He has already gone into your tomorrows and he has already begun. All of those that you are searching for, calling for, wooing, wondering, are they lost forever? He is calling them already. It's already happened. It's already begun. Be part of that process. Be the influencer. Allow your head to be filled with the thoughts, the revelation of Messiah Yeshua. Be joined together with that revelation and walk out your time of waiting, your kavah, from that perspective, and you will be blessed. I love you so much. Thank you for being with me today. Be blessed. I hope that you all enjoyed this. You can catch the replays too, okay? All right. You be blessed. We're going to go back to our meeting now. Go back to the main conference and jump on over there, and we will see the rest of our speakers. I love you. Be blessed. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.